Hey, how's it going? Day 4. How's it going? Have That Hope community. Yes, Have That Hope podcast on once again today. Bringing another installment. Today, I wanted to talk about, I believe a man should live by a code. Just like on Game of Thrones, with the Hound. You know, a man should always have a code. You got to live by something. There's laws in society, but a man should always have laws that he governs himself by. That's how a man develops self-discipline and exemplifies that self-discipline to the world. So one thing I believe in is that a man, or at least myself, I live by quotes. I live by famous quotes that have a profound message in my life, that have a meaning. So today I wanted to talk about one of the quotes that I live by and explain its significance and explain how it's significant in my life and how I utilize it in my day-to-day life. Because of course, what is knowledge if we don't apply it? It's one thing to know knowledge, but if we do not apply it, it does not get applied and stuck to our life. It does not become wisdom. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing, being educated, but wisdom is the doing part. And wisdom is a lot stronger than knowledge. So one of the first quotes I want to share with you, out of the many that I will share with you, I have a lot, is Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu. He wrote the book. Was that the war? He wrote the book about the war and Peace. So he pretty much wrote a book about strategies of war and how to win in war. And one of these great quotes is not just war, but I believe a relationship is definitely a war. And I applied this type of quote to my life and relationships. The quote reads, "Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." So what that says is, if you are able to govern others, if you're able to make others, if you have the profound power to influence people through words or through your actions, through your examples, that is definitely power. That is influence. That is status. That is very important in today's society. But mastering yourself is true power. True power. And what that means is true power is recyclable power. Power that can be reused over and over again. Power that never replenishes or that deplenishes. Power that never deplenishes. Power over yourself means, like I said, discipline. Power over yourself means accountability. Power over yourself means responsibility. These are things that a man holds himself to make himself a master of himself. Now, please believe it is a daily practice. Like I always talk about, everything that I talk about is daily practices that we must constantly remind ourselves to pursue. We must always have to remind ourselves. Some people try to write quotes down. Some people remind themselves of quotes on a day-to-day basis. Like other people, I use affirmations, but I find ways to get these type of quotes stuck into my subconscious, because when something is attached to your subconscious, it's pretty much puts you on autopilot. That's a way how to hack your mind, but we'll talk about that on another podcast, the whole power of the subconscious and how to hack your mind into putting your mind on autopilot for positive and growing and healthy things for yourself. But let me finish on the subject of mastering yourself. To first master yourself, you have to meet yourself at your lowest point. You have to understand that you have to take responsibility for the mistakes you made in your life, because the only way to master yourself is to see yourself truly as you are. To see yourself truly as you are. Not to beat yourself up. Please remember, it's not to beat yourself up, never that. But it's to admit the mistakes. It's to admit that you have the power to change those mistakes. Because you do. And only when you do believe that is when change begins in your life. Another mantra I live off of is the world will change its way it thinks about you the day you change the way you think about yourself. That's something I heard from Les Brown in one of his motivational talks. And it's so real, so real. And I found that to be so real when I applied that type of mantra to my life, to saying, okay, if I see myself, now this is not being delusional. I'm not saying see myself as like a Superman character and people will see me as a Superman character. I'm not saying this. I'm saying see myself for truly who I am, regardless of the next man. Don't compare myself to the next man. Who I am to the next man, and that's how I should see myself. No, not at all. I should be comparing myself to yesterday, the person I was yesterday. That's the, and I want to be the person who I will be tomorrow. That's the type of goal we need to be reaching for. That's how we master and reach toward mastery of ourselves, mastery of our emotions. Not just mastery of discipline. We need to have mastery of our emotions. Definitely as men. It is crucial that men master their emotions immediately in life, because if we do not, we subject ourselves to things like prison, bad relationships, death, because emotions can lead a man down turmoil. Never leads to anything good, ever. So a man must control his emotions first and foremost. Another thing a man must have to master himself is a man must master his surroundings. A man strives for peace. Any man strives for peace. And you cannot strive for peace when you allow turmoil to set in. When we allow turmoil to be around us and invade our internal and constantly as a consistency on us, it will affect us in a negative way. And we have to be able to identify that and cut it out of our lives or learn a way to deal with it. Simple and put. Too many men believe that they should live with some level of stress in their life because they feel like it's like a rite of passage or something. No, I refuse. I don't believe that God intended for me to live and pay bills on a day-to-day basis, live to the next payday. I don't believe God intended life to be that way. And I intend to live my life in that way and strive for that, to live a life of thriving, not surviving. Not living for the weekend, but living for today. I want what today has for me. And that's a way how I master myself. Which brings me number 3. Taking advantage of the day. Being in the now. Keeping myself in the now. It's very important. People constantly dwell on the past. People constantly wish for the future. You know, we always waiting for something to come or regretting something that's happened. We need to be in the right now, live in the moment, and realize how precious this moment is. And do what we need to do to optimize our productivity so that this moment pays off for us in the future. That's where our mindset should be on a day-to-day basis. That's how we should be mastering ourselves. Once again, developing our mind, body, and soul is key. Because without that, we don't get to be happy. And I know everybody wants to be happy. I never heard anybody, when I said if I had some happiness, I never heard anybody want to turn that down. But it is a choice. Happiness is a choice. And I realize how many people, including myself, choose to not be happy on a day-to-day basis. I choose to be happy, and that's another point that leads me to self-mastery and want to master myself. Of course, in mastering my emotions, because I get to choose emotions regardless of what one comes to me. Not that these emotions don't dwell up. I'm not saying they don't dwell up. They do dwell up. I feel just like the next man. I feel anxiety. I feel depression. I feel anger. But I do not allow those things to come on the surface within me. I acknowledge these feelings. I address these feelings. I examine these feelings within me, which I think everyone should do. And I ask myself, are they necessary? And what I learn a lot of times, a lot of stress, anxiety is unnecessary. So please understand, from the great Lao Tzu, if I can say that right, the mastering of others is power, but the mastering of yourself is true power. Master yourself. Don't feel good if you're able to influence others. Yeah, it can give you a quick validation of conquerorship over a person, but it's only for a second. You can't control people. You can only influence people for a second. But influencing yourself can last years. But we have to be mindful of how we're influencing ourselves. And we have to be mindful that others aren't influencing us. Don't let others take up space in your mind, because then they influence you. Always remember that. So please, that'll end us today for that Have That Hope podcast. I hope I got the point across. I'll be bringing more quotes along with it to you, and sharing these with you, and sharing these experiences from these quotes that I relate to. So please have that hope, and please do something positive today. Be a difference in somebody's life, definitely. So everybody have a good time, and I'll reach back to you tomorrow. Peace out.